And welcome back. Hey, it's good to see you again today. Today we'll be looking at Mark chapter 9, verses 14 through 29. And before we do this, um, have you had any frustrations today, right? Literally a really hard job, and you say, I can't do this. You throw your hands in the air, and the frustration, the anger, and the humiliation starts to set in. Why can't I do this? Have you ever had that situation in your life? I know the challenge is sometimes it happens like with schooling. You get to a spot where I just frustrate. I'm fed up to hear, does it help any when a person comes along and points out the fact that you don't get it? Hey, having a little trouble? Boy, are you dumb. You don't get it? This is so easy. Oh, that just makes it better, doesn't it? Or when someone comes along and people do it easily, you watch other people handle the same situation, do the same problem really quickly. They finish the exam in 20 minutes, and you're after 20 minutes you've got your name on the paper and you've read the exam, but you have no idea how to start, right? That adds another level of anxiety. There's a frustration. I can't do this. And does it help any when you watch somebody not struggle with it, but then say, can I show you how to do it? Can I help you? Can I help you learn? You can watch me. I'll do it again slower this time, and you can ask questions. I'll demonstrate for you. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, that's the way I've learned most of my auto mechanics is watching my dad do it and ask him questions. Dad, why are you doing it that way? What does this connect to? How do these pieces work? And sitting at his shoulder. I've done a lot of auto mechanics too, where I figure I can't do it. And I call my dad and I ask him, Dad, I'm trying to do this thing and it's not working out. What am I missing? And today, in today's passage, we're up on the mountain with Jesus in the first part of chapter 9. And here in these, they come down off the mountain and they find that the other 9 are engaged in a confrontation. There's a bit of a wrangling, a playground tussle going on. And as they were coming down from the mountain, Jesus charges the 3, don't tell the others what you've seen, this transfiguration. And when they came to the disciples, verse 14, they saw a great crowd around them and scribes arguing with them. And immediately all the crowd, when they saw him, Jesus, they were greatly amazed and ran up to him and greeted him. This is fangirling all over Jesus, right? And he asked them, what are you arguing about with them? And someone from the crowd answered him, Teacher, I brought my son to you, for he has a spirit that makes him mute. And whenever it seizes him, it throws him down, and he foams and grinds his teeth and becomes rigid. So I asked your disciples to cast it out, and they were not able. Whoa, right? So the disciples who have been given the power to cast out demons have struggled for some reason. For some reason, they haven't been able to cast this one out. And so here they are. They used to be able to do it. Now they can't do it. And someone is pointing out the fact that your disciples can't do it. They begin to argue with them about it. Hey, why are you stupid? Why can't you do this? You used to be able to do this. Why is this one so difficult? And it's frustrating, right? And they're beginning to have this wrangling. So this is a bit of like the big brother showing up on the playground, right, at the fight. All of a sudden, the attention turns to the big brother, and the fight settles down, but you're still heated up, right? You still got that energy. There's the disciples. They still got that energy, the frustration when they can't do it. And Jesus has this challenge. Now Jesus is on the hot seat, right? This man says, my son has this demon. I brought him to your disciples. They can't do it. And I've told them about it. And Jesus answers them, O faithless generation. Right? He's calling them out on their lack of faith. How long will I be with you? How long am I to bear with you? Bring him to me. The challenge that Jesus puts out then to these ones are, how much the crowd kind of tattles on the disciples. They can't do this. That's true. But Jesus is concerned about the lack of faith. And it's difficult to tell whether or not he's talking to the disciples or to the crowd. I think it happens to be the crowd. This sounds similar to chapter 8, verse 11, where people are asking for more signs. And perhaps even Jesus is perceiving that this father is acting that way, that this crowd is at least acting this way, that they're kind of piling on and saying, yeah, show us another sign. We asked them for a sign and they couldn't do it, which sounds a whole bunch like chapter 8, 11, where Jesus talks about not giving any more signs to this generation. And perhaps that's what he's getting at here. How long am I to be with you, Jesus asks. And the answer is not a much longer. He's already begun to talk about the Son of Man has to suffer and die. How long must I bear with you? Not much longer. One makes the crowd sad. One makes Jesus sad. Now, how much longer am I to be with you? Not much longer, because I'm going to be crucified. Certainly makes Jesus sad. I don't have a whole bunch more time. I don't have enough time to make you understand. How much longer must I bear with you? Not much longer. That makes Jesus even sadder, because there's not much time. And he's trying, and it's a grievous thing. But as the disciples see it, they don't really understand what this resurrection thing is all about. They don't understand what Jesus is saying about going away. What do you mean you're going to go away, Jesus? He challenges them. And then the Father says this, the next great statement. He says, as they bring the boy to him, when the spirit saw Jesus, immediately it convulsed the boy, and he fell on the ground and rolled about, foaming at the mouth. This is just like it was before. The disciples had no effect. Jesus sees that's true. And the dad says, Jesus asked the father, how long has this been happening to him? And the father says, from childhood. And it has often cast him into fire and into water to destroy him. But, the father says, if you, Jesus, can do anything, have compassion on us and help us. And Jesus said to him, if I can. All things are possible for one who believes. What is Jesus saying? Well, the Father levels this accusation. If you can, if you're willing, you can help us. Have compassion on us and help us. Jesus says, of course I can. To the one who believes, I can help. And the dad has this great statement. He says, I believe, but help my unbelief. His challenge is that he realizes that perhaps he hasn't believed enough. Perhaps he hasn't believed like he should. Perhaps he hasn't understood who Jesus is. And his belief or his faith is really generated by the fact that he wants this help. And so Jesus says, I will help you. And he does. He heals the boy. He casts out the demon. And the boy becomes dead like a corpse, but Jesus raises him up. I want to look lastly at this section, though, verse 28. When he comes to the house, the disciples ask him privately, why can we not cast it out? Right? There's the frustration that we talked about at first. They were frustrated. Why can't we do this? And so they begin to ask Jesus, what do we miss? What are we missing? And he says, this kind cannot be driven out by anything but prayer. What is he saying? Jesus says, you didn't pray. You didn't pray as you entered into this relationship, into this task of casting out this demon. Have they forgotten to pray? Have they forgotten the power of prayer? Like it says in Matthew 21:21, that if you ask anything in my name, I'll do it. Right? Have they forgotten that was the reminder to them every time that they cast out a demon that it wasn't them? Have they taken it for granted? Every other time I just spoke and one came out. So I'll speak and this one didn't come out. Every other time I get a wrench out and I put it in there and it turns. This time it doesn't. Right? What am I forgetting? What have I not done? I've watched this happen 1,000 times, a dozen times. It doesn't matter. I've forgotten where the power comes from. Have they taken it as their own? Have they taken it as their own responsibility, their own power? Have they decided that I could do this on their own? What was Jesus asking them to do? Same thing he asks us to do. Simply admit your inability to do it yourself. Come before him with a genuine sense of trust in him, a desperation. If you will, do something, Jesus, and have compassion on us. Sometimes we have to admit our inability to fix other people, like this father or this son, the inability to do what only Jesus can do. Maybe the issue here was that Jesus just wanted them to come back to him. Jesus wanted to make himself the center instead of the disciples. It wasn't a disciple issue. It was a Jesus issue. Admit your inability to fix people. That's really God's job, and take others to see Jesus. Maybe the point is Jesus was saying, if you'd started out with prayer, if you'd started out with a discussion with this person about faith, if you had made me the center part of this instead of yourself, it would have been easier. And the disciples are brought up short again, and they're realizing, maybe I'm not as far along as I thought I was. How many times has that happened, where you have this situation that just seems so intense? I'm watching a friend of mine struggle against COVID right now, and we're praying. We're praying intensely. We've got a group of friends in the state that are praying for him. He's a fellow pastor, and as we pray for him, we realize we can't fix anything, and that God is able, and we do trust him. But even if he doesn't bring my friend out of this COVID situation, even if my friend is not healed, I trust him. Friend, are you doing the same things? Do you have situations that are impossible without faith? And even with faith, God may be bringing you through a place that feels like failure, a suffering spot where you will trust him more and make him the center of the issue. Will you do that? I'm praying for you that you will, that you'll come to understand that Jesus is the answer, that he alone is the healer of people. He alone is the fixer of broken lives, and that you're crying out to him in faith and prayer and asking, God, be compassionate, be merciful to us. We don't deserve it, but you are able, and we trust you. That's a huge step, and it's sometimes scary. And so I'm praying for you that you'll come through that with the understanding that Jesus is enough. Friends, until I see you again next week, or even this weekend, as we gather together here at First Baptist, be well and be growing in your faith through this season. God doesn't want you to waste your COVID season and not grow closer to him. Trust him and follow him completely. I'm praying to that end that your belief may be increased. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.